there guys, this is Howie from CanadaVapes.com, and in this video I decided to do a little video on atomizers, and I'm just going to call it my top 10 tips for atomizers. Not quite sure I'm going to have 10, I didn't really count them, but we'll say top 10 because it's 10 thereabouts. So my first tip for atomizers is simply going to be when you first get your atomizer, you're going to want to blow it out. The atomizer has some liquid, what's called primer liquid, that's actually built into the atomizer, and it just helps when the atomizer, say, sitting in a store or sitting for a month or two before getting vaped. They put this liquid in there to help keep it, maintain its integrity. So it's got kind of a funky taste to it, and you're just going to want to go ahead and take your atomizer right off your e-cig when you first get it and do the blowing technique, which I'll get to. That's another technique for cleaning it. But again, you're simply going to take a little bit of paper towel, put it in the hole. You're not going to force it in. You're going to roll up the paper towel into basically a long skinny piece, and then gently put it into the hole of the atomizer, and you're going to blow on this end until there's no residue. It's a clear, almost a clear liquid that will come out. Just blow a few times and get rid of all that liquid that's in there when you first buy it. So that would be the first tip, is when you first get a brand new atomizer, make sure that you blow it out before you ever use it. The second technique we're going to talk about is simply taking an atomizer on and off. Inside the base here, the atomizer has two wires that attach itself to where it connects to the battery. And when you remove your cartridge or your cartomizer, some people end up doing is twisting off the cartridge. And when you twist off the cartridge, it's possible to actually have it kind of latch or touch against the bridge of the atomizer and twist things all around here, and that could potentially twist these wires, which are obviously very thin because they're in quite a confined area, and they might snap off the atomizer itself. So what you might end up doing is having a perfectly good atomizer that's just not connected to any power, and you're gonna wreck your atomizer way too early. So again, when you're initially putting on atomizer onto a battery, you never want to grab it by the cartridge or the cartomizer. You always want to put the atomizer on the battery by itself, by holding onto the battery and by twisting it until it's tight. And again, the same method, you never want to twist off like this, twist off the cartridge and just grab it aggressively. Grab the atomizer, grab the battery, untwist the battery, and ensure that the atomizer stays nice and straight. You don't want to, again, be twisting it off. So that would be tip number 2, I guess, is to try not to twist the atomizer with the cartridge or the cartomizer. Tip number 3 is a simple one. If you direct drip, which means instead of using a cartridge and filling it up, I direct drip. What you do is you drip a couple drops right into the atomizer. Just a quick tip is just to remove the filler from here. It can sometimes burn. It can sometimes just get old, and so you get some juice in there and it gets all kifey. So just remove that entirely. The fourth tip that I'm going to share with you is again for direct drippers, and it's simply not to over drip. The perfect amount I find for the 510 atomizer is about 2 drops. So 1, 2, 3 drops you can tend to flood the atomizer, which is bad. You'll notice, and this can be tip 5 too, which is going to be a flooded atomizer. You'll notice a flooded atomizer when you're taking a toot and you notice kind of a bubbly sound, almost like liquid inside there. That's generally going to be the sign that your atomizer is flooded. It has too much e-liquid in there. The atomizer can't handle that amount, and your draw is actually making the excess liquid bubble in there. This can lead to, just minimally, it can lead to some liquid coming out under here. It can sometimes cause the liquid to actually get into your mouth a little bit if it starts to, when you take a toot, if it starts to come up the cartridge. And it can also cause issues with your atomizer because it's more likely for the coils and the wick to get saturated and to actually get some excess gunk on them when you have too much liquid in there. Okay, let's go to number 6, I guess, 5 or 6, we'll say 6. And this is simply that you're going to want to clean your atomizer regularly. There's a number of methods to clean your atomizer. The simplest one is just going to be to clean the connection. So right in here. So clean these threads here with a little bit of paper towel. Just grab the paper towel, spin it on here. Again, same thing with the battery. Put a little paper towel in there. You can also use a Q-tip. Because this connection here, obviously e-liquid is coming in here. Occasionally you're going to get some liquid coming through these holes, and e-liquid is sticky, so it can cause issues with connectivity. And it's the first thing that people should be looking at. If you're having a problem with your atomizer, it's not coming on, just make sure you clean the connection to the battery, because a lot of times it's simply not connecting properly to the battery. Tip 7 is also going to be a cleaning technique, and it's going to be something called soaking the atomizer to clean it. There's a number of methods that you'll be able to find online on forums for soaking the atomizer. Again, this is a bit of a personal preference thing. I have read some people use alcohol, some people use straight pure vodka, some people just boil it in boiling water for 10 minutes, and some people just run it under hot water for a length of time. And again, this isn't something that is set in stone. It isn't something that there's one perfect way to do it. Everyone's got their own idea of what works best for them. So you can try a number of these techniques, but again, just cleaning the atomizer. If it's vaping poorly, if you're getting less flavor, if you're getting less vapor, and it just feels like it's not quite as good as it was when you first got it, doing a good thorough cleaning of it should help to restore it back to its original condition. Because inside the atomizer you got the wick and you've got the coil, and both of these can tend to get gunked a little bit with e-liquid after vaping for quite some time on it. So you might get some of the coil, which is the actual heating element, that's going to have a little bit of crusted on vapor, and then what happens is when you put some new liquid in there and you start vaping, only half of the coil is actually being effective and the other half is gunked on with some e-liquid, so it's giving you that reduced throat hit and that reduced feeling.